everyone, I am Herlene Joy Astrowalan, or you can call me Teacher Herlene. I am from the Bachelor of Elementary Education and the last reporter of Group 6. So for today, I will discuss to you the do's and don'ts when doing a teaching demonstration. So without further ado, let's go! The first do in doing a teaching demonstration is to interact with students and encourage them to interact with you. As a future educator, we should interact with our students so that they won't be shy to ask their questions, suggestions, and concern to the lesson. This will help you to have a good relationship with your students. Next is model instructions or concepts. It is all about making a model instruction that can help your students to learn the lesson more effectively. Just like, for example, the I do, we do, you do model, which involve teachers in the following a series of steps, starting with the teachers, leading the instruction, and finishing it with the students working independently. So starting with the first stage, which is the I do stage. In this stage, teachers tell the students about what they need to know and show them how to do the things they need to be able to do. Then, teachers should check for understanding before moving on the next stage. The next stage is the we do stage, which teachers scaffold tasks and guide students as they work with the material you have taught them. Teachers should also offer incidental feedback and gauge students' readiness to move to the next stage. The last stage is the you do stage, where your students will complete the task similar to what we have covered earlier. Afterwards, you gave them feedback on their independent work. So when students are done to you do stage, they can do it again and again so that the students will remember the lesson effectively. With that, students will feel less anxious due to the clear modeling and the scaffolded opportunities to practice. This same factor can help students to experience independent success, which in turn builds their self-efficacy. Next is establish rapport with students. Rapport does not result in learning, but it certainly helps to create conditions conducive to learning things like higher motivation, increased comfort, and enhanced communication. Teaching doesn't always result in learning either, but like rapport, it is one of those factors that can contribute positively to learning. There are 5 factors in building rapport. First, respect. Second, approachability. Third, open communication. Fourth, caring. 5, positive attitude. The first one is respect. Teachers and students must show respect for each other for the learning process and for the institution where it is occurring. Next is approachability. Students have to feel comfortable coming to faculty. Teachers must be willing to speak with students after class, during office hours, and via email on campus. Third is open communication. Faculty must be honest. There needs to be consistency between the faculty say and what they do. Fourth, caring. Faculty must care about students. They must see and respond to them as individuals. They also need to care about learning and show that they want students to learn the material. And lastly, positive attitude. Faculty should have a sense of humor and be open to points of view other than their own. Rapport is not something developed by announcement. Rapport is developed by actions. It results from things teachers do. Next is, keep in mind the overarching purpose of your lesson. As a future educators, we should set a purpose for our every lesson. And one of those purposes is for them to learn and understand every lesson that we taught them. We should also teach them seriously by asking them questions, by giving them performance or quizzes after the lesson, so that they will listen and will participate actively in the class. Next is, do as a student's understanding as you go alter instruction as needed. As we know, every student needed help in learning the things that they are curious about. So before giving them the next lesson, we should assess them first by giving quizzes, essay, oral recitation, written tests, and exams. after the lesson, so that we can know if they understand the lesson and also to know if they are ready to the next lesson. After giving them an assessment, we can adjust the lesson to the student's level and make it more productive by giving them performance, be it by group or individual, so that they will understand the lesson more effectively. Next is, do prepare your lesson well ahead of time and practice, practice, practice. One critical component of effective teaching is preparation and planning. If the teacher lags behind in preparing, then it will lead to failure. Good teachers are always overprepared, always thinking about the next lesson, and are in a continuous state of preparation and planning. As we all know, nobody is perfect. So by practicing, these can help us to remember the lesson and the important details, which is a big help when we teach our students. And lastly, do recognize the diverse needs of students. As your students enter the classroom, they bring with them a unique background, set of skills, and educational needs. Diversity in the classroom does not just refer to cultural diversity, but also refers to diversity in skills, knowledge, and needs. It is important to understand these attributes in order to effectively teach your students. The most important thing you can do to help educate your student is to learn as much about them as possible. You can achieve this in a wide variety of ways, either by spending time talking to students, giving them questionnaires to fill out, or engaging them in activities that reveal information about them. By using all these methods, this can help you give a clear picture of what each student needs and how they can learn best. For example, talking to students can give you a clear picture of their verbal skills and personality. A questionnaire can target specific information about the students and help you learn about their interests and passions. Different icebreaker activities can allow you to observe students socializing so you can learn how they act in groups. Another key component for learning about your students is communicating with parents and families. This will give you a background information such as their cultural identity or personal history. Knowing about your students' cultural backgrounds, for example, can give you and help you create a more culturally sensitive classroom environment so every student feels welcome and safe. So now, we will move on to the don'ts when doing a teaching demonstration. The first don't when doing a teaching demonstration is don't assume that everything will go as planned. Just like, for example, you plan on giving your student a group activity after discussing the lesson. However, most of your students disagree with group activity for a reason that some of their classmates depend on them and they don't like their classmate to depend on them, so that they come up and suggest that they will do the activity individually so that they can work on their own understanding on the lesson. That's why we should not assume that everything will go as planned, but we can only prepare for that. Next is, don't incorporate lots of bells and whistles that don't contribute to the effectiveness of the lesson. This means that we should not put or add too much declarative that are not necessary or important for the lesson. Rather than adding decoratives, we should keep it simple and easy to understand so that they can focus on the lesson more effectively.
Next is, don't gloss over students' questions in order to stick to your lesson plan. This means that don't ignore the students' or children's concerns, suggestions, and questions because we know everything is unpredictable. We can't always stick and assume everything will go as planned. Rather than ignoring your student, you should give correct answers to your students' questions so that they won't be left hanging by not getting the answers they want.
Next is, don't get in over your head with regard to the subject matter. As a future educator, the teacher's mastery of the subject matter or lessons influences the learner's understanding of the subject. Their academic performance and the attainment of their goals mastery of the subject matter by the teacher helps them to impart knowledge effectively and confidently. Confidence is a powerful tool for us teachers because we learn to deal with anxiety. Experience provides us with information and we can use to further hone our skills, and this is observed in the field of education. Failing to plan is planning to fail is the best scope for explaining this matter. A teacher that fails to master a lesson before teaching it will most likely to fail to deliver the information to his or her student. Next is, don't lose sight of what you want student to achieve. It means that a teacher should not forget what the teacher wants the child to achieve. And as a future educator, my main goal is for my student to learn and achieve their future dreams because those achievements meant a lot for teacher. Because, I'm sorry for that, they are those person who help us to go this far, and they will be always happy to see you grow and achieve the things you want to achieve. Lastly, don't focus on how well you are doing. Instead, focus on how well your students are learning. This means that as a future educator, the goal of our performance must not focus on pride and satisfaction. Instead, our goal must focus on our student education. For example, instead of focusing on high-quality visual aids in terms of appearance, we should create a high-quality visual aids in terms of content, which is adjusted based on what the students are lacking in order to help them understand the lesson more clearly.